Peace and blessings. The wave in the ocean here. Welcome to day 15 of the 31-day Kickstart course. And I'm really excited because today we're going to be talking to my friend Dina. I met Dina in Egypt in 2011. We've been friends for about 8 years, and we have a great relationship where even though we don't talk every day, when we do, it's very natural. We love sharing our journey and what's going on in our life. Our conversations sound naturally very podcasty. So I thought it would be great to have Dina as a guest for this course. And for me, it's been a sincere pleasure over the past few years watching Dina step into her power, live her truth, and break a lot of negative patterns. She's been an inspiration for me personally, and I think she's an expert in the field of self-care. So we're going to be talking to Dina. Please welcome her. Hi, Dina.
Hi, Nick.
How's it going?
Hi, everyone.
So Dina, just to get a little bit more understanding about who you are, introduce yourself to the students of the course who are all over the world. What has been going on in the past few years of your life? How have you really made this journey over the past few years to where you are now?
I think the changing point for me, or I'd say a very important phase in my life, was probably around 2012. Is that when I decided to move away from Egypt and work in Qatar. So there was just a lot of negative energy and things I was so sick of, and I wasn't feeling very good about myself. And so the interesting part for me was that when I moved and I was completely on my own, I didn't have any family, I didn't have any friends, and I found the exact same things happening all over again, even though it's a new country, new people, new workplace. So this was a big eye opener that it was me. I was still sad. I was still crying sometimes. Of course, this would vary. You'd have your happy days, you'd have your days where you feel very accomplished, and then you hit rock bottom for some reason. So I realized that it really wasn't about the country or my friends or my family or anybody, really. It was just all on me. And it's good news and it's bad news at the same time, because it's like, oh, so I'm the problem.
Right.
But then, it's also, oh, I'm the problem, which means I could also be the solution. So I think it took that move to make me see it very clearly. And then, so when I came back to Egypt, a couple of years later, and I've always been interested in psychology and would read books on, like, one of the books that I read was The Happiness Project, where the author is arguing that you can somehow create a project for your happiness, just as anything else that you need to accomplish. So basically, her friends and her family were arguing with her. It's like one of those things where you cannot simply create a project for yourself to be happy. But then she basically was breaking it down to things that make you feel good, whether it's setting aside time to read or work out or be in touch with your family so you don't feel guilty. So essentially it was eliminating anything that would make you feel guilty and just increasing all of those wonderful things that make you feel good about yourself. And that included anything from tidying up to staying in touch to making more time for fun events or things that you enjoy. And I did that, and I honestly felt such a great change. But then that's the thing, it's like you go through something and you feel so great about yourself, but then you can very also easily hit rock bottom, or you can feel low once again. And I felt I just need to tackle this somehow, in a way, in almost a permanent way. I don't need a fix or just to be happy for a short amount of time, or just feel good in general about myself for a short amount of time, and that I find it changing. So I started doing talk therapy. For me, you do whatever you think is helping you. If reading a book is helping you, great. I mean, if watching a video is helping you, that's your thing. Also, for me personally, I found that talk therapy was very important for me. I just needed to understand what I was feeling, because there's no way I can understand what I want if I don't know who I am. So
Hmm.
if I know who I am, it makes it much easier to know what I want.
Sure.
um so once again, like, you go through a phase where it's great, it's, an eye opener, and you're finding all those things about yourself. But then it can also be very brutal, to just face those things that maybe you could be the reason why your life looks like this today.
Yeah.
So it's not the most pleasant of facts, to come to terms with.
But a powerful one, right? That you realized in some sense that you thought you were running away from your problems and you were trying to run away from yourself, right? And
Definitely,
I mean, this
definitely.
this this week of the course has been a lot about awareness. So we've been really focused on kind of our relationship with ourself and also our relationship with something higher outside of ourselves. So we've been doing meditation and breath work and things like that this week to really get in touch. What I'm hearing is kind of from you, it echoes what we've been talking about, which is the number one thing is awareness, right? And being aware can be sometimes being aware of positive things in our life or aware of negative things in our life. And for you, it was talk therapy. Different people will find different things that really resonate with them. But ultimately, the goal is to get some sort of understanding of where we're at, why we're operating the way that we're operating. And again, we could find really wonderful things when we get more in touch with ourselves. And we could find things that come to the surface that, make us feel a little bit ugly inside. But that's kind of the beauty, isn't it? At least we get those things to the surface rather than keeping them buried. And once they're on the surface, it's kind of easier to deal with, right?
Definitely. And for me, the biggest thing is acknowledgement. The
Mhm.
acknowledgement is very vital, so you can get to a better place. So I'm not running away from anything negative that I'm feeling. I'm just, coming to terms with it, and I'm seeing how I can manage it,
Mhm.
so I don't feel so bad as I would usually feel. And for me also, I found that yoga was very helpful, meditation was very helpful. And it was just an outlet, because I'm constantly stressed. It's like you don't even realize how stressed you are, that you've been holding your breath at work, or you've been driving and running errands and blah blah blah, and you don't even realize that you're actually stressed and that you're not even breathing properly. So for me, just, 20 minutes of yoga for me was very helpful. And just generally speaking, the acknowledgement aspect is just placing things in a much clearer way for you. So it's like, oh, so this is my problem, and this is what I constantly need to be doing to be that version of myself that I need to be.
Yeah.
So I've been honest that, okay, this is where I need to go, this is the person I would love to be, and there's work to be done, just as you would go to the gym. There's no shame in going to the gym and getting in shape. We see videos about that every single day from everyone all over the internet.
Almost too much.
So for me, so for me, the part that I don't understand is, why aren't we applying the same method when it comes to mental health?
Yeah,
We need to feel nourished. We need to constantly work on our mental health, so that we are in a good place, so that we're not snapping for no reason, so we're not treating people that we love badly, because we are in a good place, because this is manageable, this is work that can be done.
absolutely.
And also for me was very important just realizing the fluctuation, because you can very easily find yourself in a phase where you feel very good about yourself, you feel enlightened, you feel light, you feel that everything is clicking, but the only constant thing, as you said, is change.
Hmm.
So you can again find yourself not wanting to leave the house, and your energy is sort of low. But for me, that was very much freeing, the idea that I can just be honest with my feelings. And if I'm feeling bad, well, yeah, I know that I'm feeling bad, but it's fine because it won't last, you
Yeah,
know?
there's so much
And I
power,
just need
right?
to work through it.
Yeah. There's a lot of, we were
Yes.
talking about this before we started, actually recording. Dina and I were talking about the pressure that we sometimes feel to be always energetic, always positive, and especially nowadays on the internet, even I think it's really popular even on sort of like the spiritual conscious type pages on Instagram or Facebook, that whole phrase good vibes only, which I just hate. I think what Dina's talking about is kind of what we were talking about with meditation over the past few days, that idea of observing our thoughts without judging them, observing our emotions without judging them, knowing that like you don't have to always be happy. You don't always have to be energetic. What you have to be is, I don't even like to use the word have to be, but what you can be is aware, is simply aware of what's going on and without judging, knowing that like recognizing that this is a bad day. This is a day where I feel a little bit tired. By learning to recognize what's going on, we can tap more into what our body, what our mind, what our heart might be telling us we need or we haven't been paying attention to lately. So I love when Dina talks about acknowledgement, like, hey, if you're sad, it's okay. Embrace that sadness. You don't need to cling to it. You don't need to become the sadness and let it become your identity, right? And walk around mopey. But you can embrace that sadness and say, I welcome this sadness. It's here for a reason. It's supposed to teach me something. And I know that the sadness, just like anything else, is temporary. And there will be a new surprise, coming soon, right?
Exactly. And for me, the same acknowledgement I honestly apply to people, because I would find myself extremely upset if someone didn't act in a way that appeals to me or that is fine by my standards. And it again, it's just acknowledgement. Fine, I acknowledge that this person did something that
Mm-hmm.
hurt my feelings. I understand probably it's the way they operate in their own lives. So it becomes a little less personal for me now. If someone is doing something that upsets me or annoys me or hurts me, I just keep thinking, well, this is their process. This is how they operate.
Sure.
So again, that doesn't mean you're not gonna feel bad, but it's gonna be different. It's like there's this understanding. So so I'm not overly emotionally invested in any particular situation. It's just like, oh yeah, I feel bad, but I also understand like this is probably not personal. This is probably how this person deals generally in their life. So
So what
for
else?
me, I find it helpful.
Yeah. And along those lines of sort of like setting boundaries with other people, things like that, the whole idea that we don't have to like everyone, from a more universal oneness sort of position. Yes, we can love everyone. We can appreciate that everyone is going through their journey the same way that we are. But we don't always have to like everybody. That's okay. We can give ourselves permission to feel the way that we actually feel around people without trying to control it too much, while keeping an open mind, of course, right? Giving people a chance. How do we
Yeah.
say no to people, Dina? How do we say no to things that we don't want to do? Because that's been something that I've watched you learn over the years and has kind of inspired me.
For me, it comes down to this. We all have an innate desire to be happy and to lessen our suffering. This is a universal code that we should all be living by. So everyone has that right, and I acknowledge everyone's right, the same as mine. But for me, I can acknowledge that this person is who or she is. They are who they are, but I have my own standards and I have my own space that I need to protect. So oftentimes people won't take responsibility for the energy they're going to bring into your life. So what you have to do yourself is just protect your space.
Mm-hmm.
I can, you know, I honestly would love to give people more chances, more than they deserve, because I don't want to look back and think, oh, maybe I should have just given that person a chance, or maybe they were just having a bad day. So yes, I do of course give chances. This can be a little bit stressful with some people more than others.
Sure.
But yeah, you have absolute freedom. Okay, this is the way I see it. People have absolute freedom to treat you as they wish,
Mm-hmm.
but I also have absolute freedom to react as I wish. And
Good.
for me, this is extremely freeing. You can treat me how you want to treat me, but I will also either, you know, come back with the way that you've been treating me, or I can just keep my distance, to be honest. And this is what I'm learning, is that I need to accept people for who they are and enjoy them for everything that they are, without trying to change anything about them. And if I can't manage to do that, then I just have to walk away.
Right.
It's that.
Yeah, it is. I like that you said that at the end. It is that simple. We give ourselves a whole lot of guilt over things like setting boundaries, saying no to things that we don't want to do, hanging out with people that we don't necessarily want to hang out with. But it is okay to allow ourselves, we're so good with other people, giving them permission to do things. But we're often hard on ourselves, giving ourselves permission to feel the way we feel, to do the things we want to do. So it is that simple. But yes, sometimes it does take it is a lesson that we have to learn, that, over a long period of time, we learn that it's okay to be who we are and want what we want. And this is our life, and we're supposed to have our will and live it, right?
Definitely. And also, just going back to the idea that you are responsible for some of the things that are currently present in your own life. And that's also what I've realized with people, is that sometimes we place them in a category or a special place where they didn't ask to be placed.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, just having that person occupy this special place in your life sets certain expectations. And sometimes it's actually unfair, because for them, they didn't ask to be called your best friend, or whatever it is that is the title that goes with it. But you see what I'm saying? And then it's as if you've just put all this pressure on them to live up to certain expectations where they actually didn't agree to that, and then you feel very disappointed. So I just go back and I think, oh wow, so I did that. I placed that person in that category, and then I ended up feeling very disappointed. So for some people, I don't have to cut off ties altogether. I can just, find another place, a more comfortable place for the both of us, where I'm not expecting many things from that person, and also the person doesn't feel any pressure to live up to any sort of expectations from them.
Yeah, you both have the freedom that you deserve, right?
Yeah, that's
Cool.
pretty good, I think.
Well, Dina, this has been great. We're running out of time, but there's just one or two more things I want to ask you before that time runs out, which is one of the things that we did in the first few days of the course was to get clear about our goals for 2019. And we had all the students, including myself, pick the one thing that we're most interested in achieving in 2019. And I'd love to hear what is a really, really important goal for you in this next year.
For me, the most valued aspect in my life is the connections that I build. So I know it might sound simple, but it's just to deepen that sense of acceptance when it comes to others.
Mm-hmm.
That just because you treat people a certain way doesn't mean that they're going to treat you the same way that you treat them. And I know it sounds very simple, and you can say that you understand a statement or a lesson, but the application can be much, much more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I'm working on every day, just to accept and enjoy people as they are, as long as it doesn't affect my space or my mental health in any way. Then I'm more than willing to accept and enjoy them as they are.
That's awesome, and I think it's a great way to sort of wrap things up, because again, it goes back to the meditation, the awareness that we've been practicing. Number one, it's one thing to know how to meditate, and it's another thing to do it every day and apply it. But also, in another sense, when you talked about learning to just accept people and appreciate them the way that they are. I think that's a powerful lesson when it comes to people, when it comes to things, when it comes to ourselves. Really is kind of one of the big secrets of the universe, right? If I can learn to appreciate the clouds and not look at them and say, well, that's a good cloud, that's a bad cloud. You know, the same thing with my thoughts, the same thing with other people. We start to realize that in some sense, everything is perfect. Not perfect meaning very, very good, but perfect meaning exactly as it should be. You know, without judgment, everything is perfect. Everything is just functioning as it's supposed to be functioning. So I really like that you said that, appreciating people and things and our thoughts just the way they are. So Dina, this is
Yes.
awesome. Thank you so much for this chat. I know that this is going to really benefit the students in the course, and just to hear a really personal story of how far you've come and how far you're going in the coming years. So thanks for that.
Thank you so much, Nick. I really appreciate you having me, and it's also wonderful to see you do what you do and help people the way that you do. I think it's remarkable, and I can feel that positive energy. Um, yeah, I can feel it in what you're doing. It's shining through. I can feel it.
Well, thank you. I'm very grateful to hear that from you. All right, well, guys, again, say thank you to Dina. I hope you appreciate this. Of course, we'll have this video for you, and if Dina wants to share anywhere where we can find more about her, I'll include that in the email with this video. But thank you for day 15. We will see you tomorrow for day 16 of the course. We're making a little transition here, and it's going to be really exciting. See you tomorrow.